Hi. Hello. Welcome. My name is not important, and so is yours. We're here to talk about Undertale. But before we can talk about Undertale, I apologize for the horrible sound. I apologize for the horrible background. I'm currently moving, and I cannot do anything about these conditions that I'm in right now. And also because I was moving, this is actually not my first time recording this video. I actually recorded it already, but once again, sadly, I am unable to recover the footage that I lost during the move. I think recording it the second time is gonna be much better, so who knows? Maybe this was better. Maybe whoever is above is giving me a sign that I did a shit job the first time and I gotta talk the second time. But yeah, let's get into it. What is there to talk about Undertale that has not been talked about? Honestly, this game is so massive and there's so many amazing, thoughtful, and like just like unbelievably deep analysis of the game there is. So I'm gonna be doing a cop out, and I'm not gonna talk about the game itself, not directly at least, but I'm gonna more talk about the relationship between the fandom and the game itself, because there's like a very interesting phenomenon that I noticed when I was like active in the fandom space, like since 2020. Yeah, 2020. Because you see, like, I was one of those people who played Undertale as soon as it came out. I didn't know about its existence until there was a lot of hype. So I wouldn't say that I like played it in the same months that it was like released, but I played it like I think a month or 2 months later when it got like a cult following already. So I was in the fandom for that long, but I took a break. I stopped being an Undertale fan in 2017 when I started reading Homestuck. Oh my god, my lore is insane. I'm just like understanding how hard it is to explain something like this to a normal person who was not a weird kid back in the day. Because I definitely was. Because in 2017, 2018, I got so obsessed with Homestuck, I did hand-drawn charts about class specs, and I had my friend quiz me on them. And that's not something a normal person would do. But yet we cringe on. I regret nothing. I kind of stopped engaging with the fandom like around 2017, as I said, and I took a break and I returned in 2020 or 2021. Like, I don't remember the specifics, but I think I got back into it in like May of 2020 or like 2021. And not to brag, but I used to be a niche Undertale celebrity. I'm not anymore, because my reach is atrocious, but now I'm doing it for fun. But yeah, because of that, I got to observe two very different Undertale fandoms. Because when I was in the fandom for the first time, so like 2015, 2017, right? Like 2 years. Those years were insane. Those years were the constant AUs that are not story focused, they're extremely like character focused. That was the time of like so much ancest. And if you don't know what that is, I am so happy for you. Please keep it that way. And I have to admit, I indulged in a couple of cringe rituals, let's call them that. And I was part of the unhinged fandom base. So yeah, lore story. When it was 2016. I won a ticket to an local anime convention, and I went. And I made my friend smuggle a lab coat for me, and I was cosplaying as a human version of Underswap Undyne. And I walked to make it more cringe, to make it more cringe. Not only did I do that, I walked around with an sign that said, "Yes, I am a human underswap undyne." I looked nothing like undyne. I looked like just some dude in a fucking coat. So yeah, I am certified cringe. So when I say that the early fan base was cringe as fuck, I don't mean it in a completely bad way. Like, I was part of it and I enjoyed it. And I'm kind of looking back at it was like really like, yeah, I'm cringing a little bit, but those were such happy times for me. I was so happy that I got to engage with like people who were into the same game. I got to engage with people I didn't even know who just like looked at my sign and were like, "Oh my god, that's kind of cute. We gotta talk about Undertale." Like that was cute as hell. And yeah, the early fandom was basically like problematic. We had our own fair share of like discussing people, like rumors, shit like that. Like there was a lot of nasty shit. There was a lot of like really serious shit as well. If you don't know about the fucking cookies, there was a time when someone got cookies with needles in them because they shipped two characters. I don't remember who it was. I think they were shipping Sun Centurion, and they got like legit death threats and an attempt to literally kill them. So yeah, the fandom was unhinged in like different ways. Some like me were just like mildly annoying and cringe. The others were doing literal crimes. What I can say about fandom from 2020 and up until now is that it morphed, definitely. And we're just like mildly insane now. We have not had any news about Deltarune. We didn't like Undertale is 9 years old this year. So, we're kind of insane. Like people who are still in the fandom, we are just running on fumes. But I kind of like that. Like I love that the Undertale fandom never really died and people are still getting into it. But let's talk about how they got into Undertale and how is it getting into Undertale because this is interesting. Because one thing I noticed that is kind of a trend among people who entered this like second era of fandom is that they knew about Undertale from like the first period, let's call it. Because of that, they know a lot about the story. Maybe some of them didn't engage with the fandom, but were looking at like let's plays, or looking at series, or looking at lore videos, like the drill. And it was like shocking for me because for the longest time I never realized that people watch playthroughs not just like to know how to do a game, like to do something in game, because that's how I always watch playthroughs. For me, they are only like they are walkthroughs for me. That's basically it. But I was recently talking to my friend, and we were talking about how they don't like playing, so they usually watch playthroughs. And I just like realized that that might be true for a lot of people who are currently in the Undertale fandom because like I had that talk kind of like a lot of times that people say never plays the game. They just watch playthrough. But I never really thought about those implications before like kind of like the second era. Because during the second era, what is happening right now is that a lot of these kids never played the games, so they don't have like a strong meta narrative connection to the game. Like they never had to experience like Flowey telling you not to reset anything after pacifist, like that was like heart wrenching for me. Like I had this kind of like emotional crisis that I didn't have this game I loved anymore because I couldn't like step down from my moral pedestal and reset the game and make them all unhappy again. Like that was something I didn't want to do. And I understand now that these fandom newbies, they kind of like don't understand the message in the same way I do because they have not had a lived experience of like getting that message and seeing how like deeply it cuts through you because it was you who made all of the decisions while doing a playthrough. Like it is you who is going to push the reset button, not someone else on a playthrough. I'm not saying it's a negative thing, like obviously. This is more like a discussion piece, like basically what I think about a topic. And what I think about the topic is that it's really interesting to see how that kind of like disconnect from the meta narrative interacts on how you interact with the fandom itself. Because right now there's like a lot of overcorrection from previous fandom years to a point where you yet again mischaracterize the character. And I feel like obviously you can mischaracterize the character if you played the game as well. This is like first wave of Undertale fandom basically. But they take and overcorrect something. I feel like if you didn't live it, it's just harder, you know. Like there's no shame in that. I understand that not everyone had the opportunity to play this game, and that's fine. Playthroughs are valid. All I'm saying is that playthroughs still disconnect you in another layer from the meta narrative. Like now you're not the one making choices, you're the one watching and observing someone else make choices and see the consequences of those choices. And that way it kind of makes you more predispositioned to, like, for example, consume more and more content on the game. Because, like, once again, story. When I finished playing Undertale, and I had the pacifist message from Flowey that please don't reset. I couldn't even interact with the fandom. I was like, they live on, but this is not the life that they are living on in my computer. Like I can't substitute it. And I had this kind of like empty feeling for like half a year. Turned out I'm just like autistic and have depression, but still, it was definitely like a huge thing for me. But ultimately, I think it really led me not to jump into Undertale as an escapism to the degree some people kind of get into it, especially now. I feel like with introduction of things like kinning, which is like less popular now, but was like super popular in 2020, 2021. What I'm trying to say, I'm gonna collect some. I'm so sorry. I just have also ADHD, so the way I talk is very confusing. But basically, what I'm gonna say is, people are just prone to mischaracterization of certain characters because they never played the game and they didn't really like experience it fully, which is once again not their fault, and I'm not blaming anyone for like interacting with the game wrong. I'm just saying that there is like some maybe like space for growth in a way of like looking at much more talented people who do like Undertale videos and talk about the amazing storytelling and meta narrative. It's not a new phenomenon. It always happens to fandoms kind of like that live long enough. You kind of like end up to a point where a lot of people got into the fandom knowing like predisposition to like knowledge about it, not first hand experience from it. Like that's how I got into Sonic. I knew what Sonic Adventure 2 was about, and I got into the fandom just because I thought it was cool. And only after that I played the game. But I do think that me playing the game made me just like realize how amazing the game is. And I feel like a lot of people should, if they have an opportunity now, play Undertale or at least play its successor, Deltarune, which is currently free. So I just like to experience the metafactory that Toby Fox usually puts up and to really understand the implications of like hiding and kind of being like too much into escapism. Because that's also what Undertale was about to a degree, like definitely. Like Undertale was to a degree about how escapism into a game can cause like actual harm to some emotions of yours. Like you become more twisted. Like not obviously not evil, but the need to dig so deep into the game makes you disregard like the characters at this point and you just want to proceed, 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 shit like that. And I feel like that's also something that is No Mercy route in Undertale represents to a certain degree. Like escapism that kind of like destroys the thing that you enjoy. And Deltarune definitely has like really strong implications of escapism in its story. So if you can't check out Undertale, please check out Deltarune at least. Like I think it's a really cool game, and both of those games, and I think like they should be experienced firsthand at least once in your life, just to understand how amazing the gameplay is, how funny the jokes are, to find your own secrets that maybe other people haven't found or you haven't seen other people find. Because these games are still complex and there are so many things you can do or not do in these games that kind of like follow you as consequences. And I think that's awesome. Everyone gets to choose their own path basically, even if it's similar. Like even pacifists, it can differ. You can do like certain things that make it less happy or more happy. And I think that's amazing. Like that even after you discover like everything about the game, you can still like kind of have the wonders of first hand experience with the game. And that's why I'm a huge advocate for fandom newbies to play the game at least once, or at least play Deltarune to understand like the themes better and to like maybe stop mischaracterizing some characters. Sorry, it had to be said. Someone had to say it. That was me. I had to say it. But those were my thoughts on the fandom, on the game, on the fandom newbies, all that shit. And let me hear your thoughts down in the comments. And I hope you have a great day wherever you are. Remember that someone loves you. Bye.